Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Here's our County Championship season review. So we'll go through how each club performed in the 2025 season and how we got on with our season predictions. So subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let us know your thoughts on the season down below. It'd be great to read those. So Kat, thanks for joining, mate. And it feels like yesterday since we did our season predictions and preview, let alone doing our review now. So that's absolutely fine by, and it's been a really good season in my opinion, anyway, especially in Division One. So we'll go through all the clubs in order, as I say, see how they got on, which players stood out, and more importantly, how our predictions were. It's a very tight race, which we'll share the results at the end. So, right, well, let's start off with Div One, bottom of the table, and it's Worcester. We got this bang on, mate. We thought they'd finish bottom, and they did. It's always going to be difficult to follow their sixth place finish in 2024. They only won the one match, which was against our team Essex. Tom Taylor stood out though. He took 58 wickets at just over 22, the most in the division. But they only got the 12 batting points though, which let them down. Jake Libby had another excellent season with over 1,000 runs, the fifth highest score in the division. So yeah, tough season for the Worcester team, eh?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Westy. And as you say, it does only feels 5 minutes ago when the season was starting. But yeah, to kind of yeah, in terms of Worcester, is yeah, let's say I think yeah, traditionally they've never been like a team with stars, superstars in. But if you have a look at their team over the course of the season, they've got Tom Taylor. I think he finished top of the wicket table in Division One, and then you got Jake Libby, who was like one of the few with 1,000 runs in Division One as well. So they got like two guys who are kind of like among the top performers in the division, but it's just as though there was just no one else to really to support them in any kind of substantive way. Um, so it's yeah, so it's sorry to the Worcester fans, but yeah, it's like that we were actually right on this one. Um, so it's but yeah, it's say because they're a good honest club. They try and do things the right way by developing players, um, and but yeah, they're just missing the quality in the batting department really that keeps you in games and kind of enables you to kind of pick up those bonus points,
Yeah, and pick up
and
those
that just
draws as
make it
well.
competitive. Yeah,
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, totally agree. But at least they won the Metrobank 50 over cup, which is a great story for the Worcester
exactly.
club. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, bottom of the poll for Worcester this season. So in ninth place, who also got relegated, was Durham. So a big shock for a lot of people, including us too, who we thought they finished runners up. So, Kate, do you want to take this one on Durham season?
Yeah, yeah, we almost couldn't be more wrong with this one, could we? But Wesley, it's completely bizarre. 'Cause you look at their squad on paper, you look at the players they signed during the close season. So so they had a strong squad, and then added the likes of Will Rhodes, Sam Connors to it. There's like two kind of like good county county pros in now. And you think so, a good solid squad that kind of cover them on all fronts. But it seems like for at times during the year, it's like they were decimated with injuries at certain points, especially in the bowling lineup. Um, and and I think some of their key players didn't really fire. I mean, David Bedingham didn't really play that much cricket for them this year as he has done in previous years, and he was probably a big miss for him. And even when he did play, he didn't score like the volume of runs that you would expect him to. Um, but saying that, yeah, people like Emilio Gay in there and Alex Lees who both had good seasons, and um, so yeah, it's a really mystifying one because even their CEO John Bostock came out and said there's like we don't know what went wrong basically, and so they couldn't explain it because it's like their squad on paper should be kind of pushing up the top end, but for some reason or another they just couldn't win games.
Yeah, no,
So it's
completely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's any consolation, Cat, I think a few pundits, Phil Walker from Wisden, I think he had them as runners up as well. So it weren't just us who got Durham badly wrong.
Oh, we're in
But
good company then.
yeah, it was a mystifying one, Kate. I completely agree with everything you said. Yeah, Emilio Gay, we said it before the season, what a good signing that was, and it turned out to be the case. 954 runs, just over 45, and his Alex Lees, yeah, another fine season for the skipper. Ben Rain, excellent again with the ball, 44 wickets. And it's weird, I looked at the table, obviously doing the prep for this, and they got the exact same batting and bowling points as Surrey, who obviously finished runners up, but they only won two games, one of which was against Notts, who obviously won the championship. So showed they obviously had the ability to beat the top sides and compete against them. But yeah, as you rightly said, there, the many injuries. Jake Ball was playing on loan for him for a spell at the start of the season. So obviously a good bowler, but they had a lot of youngsters as well. And a bit, I mean, the game that they had it in their hands though to stay up. That last game was a I couldn't believe what I was listening and watching on the stream. They threw away their Div 1 status by collapsing to 85 all out against Yorkshire inside 45 overs, playing a very
They only had like two sessions to bat or something
yeah,
in that
something like
game or
that.
something, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah. So it's yeah, very unlike the way they play under Ryan
yeah.
Campbell. They just went in their shell and well, I mean, very reminiscent of England against Australia, that infamous game in Adelaide in the 06-07 where we just
Oh
had to bat,
God, just got over that. Yeah.
just had to bat the day out, and then we just, you know, froze and didn't play any shots, and then Australia bowled us out. And this was even worse for Durham because they got bowled out they lost by an innings against Yorkshire, who were down the table as well. So
I
yeah,
know.
they
Yeah,
threw it away, completely threw it away. So yeah, a strange, really strange season for the North East team, but I'm sure they'll bounce back next season, be one of the favourites to
for sure.
get
Yeah.
promoted from Division Two. So let's move up to just outside the relegation spot is Hampshire, who, thanks to Durham's implosion, actually stayed up by the skin of their teeth. Only stayed up, as I say, one by 1 point. Um, only lost the three games, but nine draws cost them, and they only got 12 batting points. Obviously, we mentioned James Vince, his leadership and his batting ability was a real miss for him this season. Carl Abbott was outstanding once again in English conditions. 56 wickets, so just over 20, including four fifers. The wicketkeeper, Ben Brown, was their top scorer with 758. So I think it just goes to show if your wicketkeeper is your top scorer with the bat. Yeah, I think it just goes to show how sort of weak they were in that department, Hampshire, this season. So Hampshire, I was fairly close with Hampshire. I was two out. I thought they finished sixth, and you weren't far off either. You thought they'd finished you thought they finished fifth, so you were three out, Cat, with Hampshire. So, what are your thoughts on the Hampshire side for this season?
Yeah, I mean, you look at a side like Hampshire, and it's like the setup, the infrastructure they have, and the kind of like the money they have at their disposal as well. And it's like you'd expect them to be one of them sides that push towards the top, that be competing solidly in the top half of the table. But I mean, you look at their batting lineup in red ball cricket, and Nick Gubbins apart and Ben Brown, um, there's it seems to be very little reliability and kind of like consistency in there. I mean, it's, the top order, the opening. I think they haven't found an opening partnership for a while now. Um, they're investing a lot in some young talent there. To be fair to them, and sometimes the pitches there aren't the easiest against the new ball. But it's I think they I think they're they're probably going to be one of them sides who's going to be looking at the internal kind of like domestic market to see if there's anyone around to kind of bolster that top six, especially in the red ball game. I think so because they only picked up 12 batting bonus points last year. It's the same as Worcester, you know. So it tells you everything about where their problems lie. And if it wasn't for Kyle Abbott, um, you know, performing his usual high standard, uh, he's that they would have been relegated, and well, they probably should have been if Durham had kind of approached the last day of their game with any, you know, even with a half decent level application. They should have got. They should. All right, they should have been relegated. But they, by the grace of God, they survived thanks to Durham's implosion. So they give them a chance to rebuild for next season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see how they recover from a pretty underpar season by Hampshire's high
Yeah.
standards. All right, so let's move up to one of the promoted clubs from this season. It's Yorkshire. Um, yeah, let's talk about them quickly. So, your thoughts on their season?
Um, yeah, I think they've. I can't remember exactly where I predicted them to be, but I think I had them around mid-table.
You had them eighth. You were one
I,
out. You were one out, so they finished seventh. So
I'll,
yeah, only one place out. So good
I'll
guess on that
take
one.
that.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take that. Yeah, I mean, again, there no real, so of course they had Johnny Bairstow there, the skipper for in there for the played most of the season. So he kind of there was a little kind of sprinkling of star quality in there, and um, and they've got some good young players in there as well. George Hill was fantastic last year. He's like nearly 50 wickets, averaging about 17, something like that. But so they're a competitive side, but I think they are still lacking a little bit of quality to kind of push them up a little bit further. I think they've they've lost. I think they're losing one or two over the winter as well. I think Jordan Thompson's moved on as well. He was like a very fairly important part of the side. Um, so I think they are lacking a little bit with the bat. There's in terms of they weren't getting. As you look at the bonus points, only 21 bonus points with the bat. So it's like weren't consistently putting on the big scores. I mean, there's still got Adam Live there. He's probably still one of the best county openers in the country. Finley Bean looks a good prospect as well. Um, so it's that middle order there. If they Bairstow is you know he's carries on next year. I think it's safe to say his international days are done now. So if they can get a fuller season out of him, he can still take down county attacks. And if they can add one or two in there or good overseas for next year, I think they'll be pushing up the table. But yeah, I think they they do need to add a little bit to the batting stocks.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think they'll take it though, staying up though. They look like we're going to get relegated at one stage. I mean, they had the poor start, really poor start. That first block of games, that first seven games, they lost four of them. So, but they turned things round in the final seven games. They didn't win. They didn't lose a single game in that final seven, and they won three and got some credible draws against Surrey and Notts, who obviously finishing in the top two. As you rightly said, Adam Live, another amazing year. Over 1,100 runs at 51. Matthew Revis, he didn't play all the games, but he scored 766 at over 63. And you rightly said George Hill, a great season, fair play, 51 wickets, just under 17. Got some useful runs down the order as well. I think he's unlucky not to be on the Lions tour, I've got to say. And Jack
Yeah,
White, the signing from Northants, 42 wickets at just over 23. And I was there, the Essex home game against Yorkshire in May, one of those early games, and they looked really impressive, Yorkshire, particularly Hill and White when they bowled. And saw Adam Live smack a few as well. So yeah, a little bit surprised they didn't finish a bit higher. I had them in fourth place. My predictions, I was three out and you were one out. So, but yeah, I think they'll take it considering their poor start to the season. So just mentioned Essex there, and that's our team. Cat obviously they finished sixth for this season. So although saying that they did finish level on points with Warwickshire and Sussex, who we'll touch on in a minute. So, but yes, a season of transition for our club. But one that had positive signs, I've got to say. Paul Walker was a revelation at the top of the order with 914 runs at just under 51. Charlie Allison had a breakout year. He had to open with Dean Elgar on paternity leave for a few games. But when he returned to the middle order, yeah, he did great. Average might not look great, just under 39, but 735 runs. He got 3 tons as well, so shows when he gets in, he can get a good score. Near the relegation spots for a while, but then an unbeaten in the last 5 games and meant we climbed the table. And all the more impressive, really, considering Sam Cook only played 6 games due to England call-ups and injuries. Jamie Porter, excellent as always, 49 wickets. And Matt Critchley had another excellent season with the bat and ball. Simon Harmer got a few wickets as always. So, yeah, a bit of a transition season, Essex. But I've got to say, as a Essex fan, I'm sure you agree, Kat, it's one of optimism for next season.
Yeah, I'd say I think it summed it up perfectly. It was a transitional season. It was good to see them kind of feed a few younger players into the side as well. We see the likes of Charlie Allison, Noah Fane, Charlie Bennett as well. So they're so it's good to kind of see those younger guys kind of coming in. I think Essex they are an experienced side and they're quite an old side in many areas. So it's time to start feeding those younger players in. And Charlie Ellison, I think he does look a player. Once he kind of found his spot in the middle order, he seemed really at home there. It's like 300s there in your first season playing Division One cricket. So there's real positive signs there. Michael Pepper as well, first season as first choice keeper in the Red Bull game. Averaged over 40 with the bat as well. So there are some real positive signs in the side. I mean, um, so yeah, and say without Sam Cook playing like over half the season as well, you'd like not having him around. It was a significant miss for them. So someone of his quality. Um, so I think would if he'd been around, they might have nicked another win or two, and kind of might have been sort of sitting in comfortably in that third or fourth spot. But I think with everything that's been going on at the club, there's been a fair bit of instability at the club, especially in the boardroom as well recently, with the chair having to step down because of professional conduct issues in his legal career. Um, so I think the club can be satisfied with their season in the Championship for sure. Um, they'll always stay competitive. You know, the quality of the bowling attack they've got there, Porter, Cook, Harmer, just by themselves will always kind of get you wickets and keep you in games. So I think that there are reasons to be cheerful there for and hopeful for Essex next season. It's like those young players that know a year in them. Um, Noah Fane, slightly disappointing. He didn't really. He played pretty much every game. Kind of didn't score, not really make those big scores, and he's didn't really get the wickets. But you see him, and there's something now to
Yeah,
work
it's
with.
another season of experience though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so now I think I'm optimistic as an Essex fan. I've got to say going into next season for sure, especially with Cook. I don't think he'll can't see him playing for England again to be honest with you. So I think he'll play most of the games as long as he's over his injuries. So yeah, all the more optimistic as an Essex fan. So predictions wise, so I was 1 out, so I had Essex as fifth. As my prediction, and you were 3 out. You had Essex as third. So a slight disparity in
you
the
win that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
slight disparity in the predictions for our team Essex. So let's move into who finished fifth. So it's Warwickshire in fifth. Uh, so do you want to take Warwickshire's season cap?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's like Warwickshire have always kind of been or seem to have been one of these teams that are just always kind of hard to beat. I mean, if you look at their season, 3 wins, 9 draws, in 14 games, and so they're a kind of like a gritty, determined team. It's like we're kind of hard to beat, and if you're hard to beat, you you're highly unlikely to go down. So they've got a solid team there. It's like there doesn't seem to be any kind of real superstars in there, but as they seem very well led by Alex Davies. Um, it so I think he had another decent season. Um, the bowling attack. Um, Ethan Bamber come in from Middlesex, seemed to have a good year, and um, but I think the big problem I think at Warwickshire is that the pitches there seem to be absolute featherbeds at times. I think for them as a home team, they find it hard to bowl teams out. Um, so I think maybe they might be like giving the groundsman a bit of a nudge to say, can you just leave a bit more grass on for next year or something? Help us out a little bit. Um, so I think that they've got the makings of a real competitive side there. It's say tough to beat, but I think they just need that little bit of find that little bit of extra to kind of win games with the ball. Whether that be like finding someone with a little bit of extra pace or something like that, or a spinner. But they seem to be lacking.
Chris Wokes should be available a lot more next season. He's retired from internationals.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll still have like that the hunger to kind of play in the county championship and keep going there. Um, but if he does, he'll be a huge asset for Warwickshire next year. He'll play a lot. He may not be one of them that kind of will do too, will get too many gigs on the franchise circuit. But he's a huge addition. Um, I think Warwickshire they do seem to be crying out for a good quality spinner in their lineup. Um, it's probably the one gap in there. As I say, with the bat, they've got some really good young players in there. It's be interesting to see if Jacob Bethel plays a bit more for them next year in the Red Bull, because I think he may have realised he probably missed the trick this year by um, all that going to the IPL, and he didn't really play, so he'd missed out on playing a lot of cricket, which might have been stood him in like better stead for the forthcoming challenges ahead. So maybe they see a bit more of him next year. Let's say they're a good solid side, just lacking in that little bit of style quality, and I think that kind of just and it sums up where they are really. I think they're middle of the road side. Um, so yeah, just need that little bit of style quality if they want to push up.
Yeah, I mean, they end up being a better season for Warwickshire, obviously compared to last year, and a better season than we've both thought they'd have. So, you thought Warwickshire would actually get relegated. You had them down in ninth place, so you were four out. I won much better. I had them in seventh, so I was two out. But yeah, better season. Yeah, and as you said, they drew a lot of games, the most in the division. But they only lost twice. So Ed Barnard, great season with the bat and ball, over 900 runs, 29 wickets as well. Tom Latham only played the 5 games, but he scored 485 runs at just under 54. Ethan Bamber, as you rightly said, had a really good first season. Obviously joining from Middlesex, he got 43 wickets. Bo Webster, he had a great impact in his 6 games with 16 wickets and 361 runs, just over 45. So yeah, better season than we anticipated for the Midlands club. So let's move into fourth place, and that's Sussex. So yeah, a positive first season after promotion for the team down in Hove. If it weren't for a couple of innings defeats against Essex and Yorkshire towards the end of the season, could have finished even higher. John Simpson, he's getting better and better, isn't he? He backed up last season's exploits in Div 2 and led brilliantly from the front this season with 1,086 runs at just over 60. He got 4 centuries, the fourth top scorer in the division. And what a season for James Coles. He got over 1,000 runs as well, at just under 47. He got 20 wickets as well. And they've got 40 bowling bonus points, which is the most in the division. And you look at their bowling stocks with Ollie Robinson and a couple of overseas, James Hills being one of them. And obviously, as I say, Cole's got 20 wickets as well. It was the spinner, Carson, the spinner. So yeah, not a surprise they're right up there in terms of the bowling bonus points, and their fear, the fear I had about Sussex. That's why I had them done in eighth. So I was way out with Sussex. I had them, I was four away, and you were two away with Sussex. You had them as sixth. But yeah, but the fear I had with Sussex was would they get the runs? But they all chipped in, as say Simpson did, Coles, they had Hughes at the top of the order. Is it Tom Hain? Is it as well?
Tom Haynes,
Tom
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Haynes, yeah. So yeah, they all chipped in with a decent amount between them. So I say they take wickets for fun, didn't they? So yeah, finishing fourth from the promoted side, really good effort from the south the southern team. Your thoughts on their season?
Yeah, I think we they've got someone like Ollie Robinson there playing a full season again. He's a high quality bowler. He's arguably still good enough to be playing Test cricket, but yeah, for whatever reason, he's fallen out of favour. So the Sussex have reaped the rewards of that. You have a look at the total, most bowling bonus points in the division. And then you've got people like Jofra Archer chipping in with a game or two as well. And then, yeah, there's got the guys around there. So James Coles, Jack Carson, Henry Crocombe, Sean Hunt, it's all kind of guys who are chipping in Jaden Seals as well. He's one of those. He's kind of like one of the bowlers that kind of slips under the radar when you're talking about the best seamers in world cricket at the moment. But he he's lethal in the right conditions. Um, and then you go through their batting lineups like John Simpson. He's just getting better with age with the bat and all that. And since he's moved to sites, just had a new lease of life. Past couple of years, he's just been phenomenal. Arguably one of the best glovemen in the country as well. And he's really excelled in that leadership role down there and kind of instilled, some a little bit of skill, a little bit of a discipline in that Sussex side, and it's really paying dividends for them now. And there's a lot of talented young players in and around, youngish players in around there. Tom Haynes, James Coles, just to name two. James Coles arguably unfortunate not to have made it onto the Ashes tours. That second spinner, someone who can bat and kind of perform that holding role. So Tom Haynes, he may be a little bit disappointed with his season, but it's still a good, solid season. So I think, yeah, there's reason to be cheerful there as to Sussex, and so if they can keep the core of that side, the right additions in terms of like overseas signings and like the right and the odd kind of domestic signing here and there. Yeah, they should be in a good spot for next season.
Yeah, totally agree. Right, so let's move into third place. It's another southern team. It's Somerset. They had another good season, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's like there a lot of really good players down there, and the way the pitches down there play sometimes is like they do induce results. Um, and Jack Leach, it seems like his international career is done. So he had a phenomenal season down there. Um, so he's still got it, and even with the bat, look at some of the performances like Tom Banton at the start of the year putting 370 on the board in one game. He seemed to fall away a little bit after that, but and then Tom Abel got just snuck under the radar there with a 1,000 run season. So then you're looking around the sides like James Rue. He's going to. I think it's a matter of time before he starts playing Test cricket or playing international cricket in one form or another. Tom Lammonby, looks a really kind of interesting player. The top of the order, very kind of graceful. Um, so they have got a good core of a side down there. Um, so Lewis Gregory kind of led from the front with the ball, and so done a really good job for him down there. And um, Yeah, and I think if I remember rightly, kind of had Matt Henry kind of chipping in for a few games down there as well, and so you get him on the right surface, unplayable, he'll win you a game. Um, so yeah, I think they're Somerset. They've always kind of been that kind of side that kind of pushes towards the top of the table. Never quite been able to get over the line just yet, but yeah, I think they're a really talented side. I think I think they've got a they're all, I think they will continue to challenge.
Yeah, as you rightly said, another solid season for Somerset. And yeah, they won 3 games in the middle of the season, but only won one win afterwards, which cost them a title charge. Really, yeah, as you rightly said, Jack Leach, another top season, 52 wickets, just under 23, and Pretorius, Overton picked up wickets as usual. Archie Vaughan with his spin as well, and yeah, as you said,
Oh, those guys.
James Rue, Tom Abel, yeah, both scored over 1,000 runs. Yeah, they're well drilled, quality outfit throughout their team, aren't they? From the top order all the way to the boulders. So yeah, not
Exactly.
surprised
Yeah.
they finished near the top again. And yeah, I think we got our predictions bang on for this one. So I had Somerset as third, so I didn't don't get any points, and that's great. And you had Somerset as fourth, so you only one out. So we done really well with our predictions of Somerset, a lot better than Durham anyway. So let's move let's move into the runners up. And surprisingly, it was Surrey who didn't retain their title for the fourth year in a row. Lost the crucial clash at home to Notts in the penultimate game of the season, which obviously cost them. Still a fine season though for the Surrey outfit. Dom Sibley, top scorer in the whole division with 1,274 runs, an average of over 60, and a high score of 305, the highest in the season. Dan Lawrence, another good season for him, 922 runs and 20 wickets as well with his spin. So yeah, but as I say, it comes down to that crucial penultimate game against the title challengers in Notts, and they end up losing it. So that's what cost them. So, but yeah, still a great season though for Surrey. It's really, I think it would have been the only time I think since Yorkshire in the '50s that a team's gone four championships in a row. So to get so close is still a great effort for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you look at their squad, it's kind of oozing in quality through all throughout. So it's like you'd expect them to be up there challenging. But you say it's like that just fell away slightly. That Notts game at home where that is ultimately what cost them. This you switch those points around. It's a different outcome. Um, so yeah, well, as you say, they're still very well led. Rory Burns is still a quality player, and it's like Dom Sibley. Unless there's a change of coach and captain at England level, he's probably not going to play again. So he's still going to be churning out runs on the county circuit, and you see this year, and it's like if he gets stuck in, he's very difficult to get out. He's a triple hundred. He might have been on an absolute featherbed of the pitch, but you still have to grind those runs out and make them. Um, he's going over the course of a season, averaging over 60. It's a great achievement. Um, Looking as well, the bowling attack was probably slightly off this year to the high standards. It's like Dan Morrell, but he didn't get the volume of wickets that he has got in the previous seasons. Matt Fisher struggled a little bit at the start of the year, but come good towards the end. Um, so yeah, that's and Gus Atkinson. Obviously, they're not going to see huge. They didn't get as many games out of him as what they was probably hoping because he had his injury problems. Um, so I think it was just a little bit at certain periods of the season they struggle for wickets and to bowl teams out. Um, but there's quite reasonably argue that another 16 runs or so against Notts they would have been title winners, and we're talking about four in a row. So it's like such fine margins.
Yeah, absolutely. The barest margins, as Ian Smith famously said in 2019. All right, well, let's move into obviously the winners of the county championship. Bit of a surprise for I'd say a lot of people, even Notts fans potentially, after a couple of disappointing years. And it's yeah, and Peter Moore's done it again for the third, third different club. He won it before with was it Sussex and Lancashire? He won it with before. So yeah, he's done it again with the Midlands team. So yeah, amazing year for Notts Cap.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say not. I don't think many people saw this coming. It seems to be like kind of snuck up on the rails. Um, but you look at their recruitment. They've got some fairly smart signings in terms of their overseas. Fergus O'Neill and Mohamed Abbas. You know, with the ball. Um, so yeah, I think, and with the bat, I think at the start of the season, kind of looked at their batting and just thought it looked a little light. But Hamid, 1,200 runs, Ben Slater, 1,000 runs. That guys around there, you're kind of chipping in with like handy runs without really putting up big numbers a lot of the time, but they kind of just making like good contributions here and there. So it is. So it was a real team effort. So they were, you know, and Hamid and Slater are the top of the order. There's like a real solid foundation for the rest of the team to kind of like build upon. Um, so I think that it was a real kind of shock to kind of see them up there. But I think they also had like um, having the likes of Josh Tongue kind of playing a decent amount of cricket as well for them, and it's like he won them some games. I mean, he won the Surrey game for them, didn't he? So Josh Tongue 6 games but 30 wickets. That's real kind of threat and strike rate there. Then lots of others kind of chipping in with good handy contributions with the ball as well. Brett Hutton was their top wicket taker with 38. But then like Mohamed Abbas 32, Dylan Pennington 28. Lyndon James 26. So look, lots of guys taking crucial wickets without kind of go like having that real bumper year with the ball. There's like lots of good contributions there, which it's all which all added up to to them topping the table.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, an amazing year for Notts, to win the title, as I say, after a couple of disappointing seasons, really. I mean, that's why we predict them so low in the table. So I had them to get relegated. I had them in ninth place, so I was way out. I was obviously 8 places away. And Kat, you weren't much better. Sorry, mate. You had them down in seventh, so you were 6 out. So that was a big score, big points for our predictions there.
I'm
But
still taking the win on that one.
yeah, but they deserve to win it though. Not if you only lose one match all year and then you go to the champion Surrey away from home, penultimate game, and go and win as well. And it was on, obviously it's still the streaming, but it was on Sky as well. With obviously Nat Affers and Nasser Hussain commentating stints as well. If you can go there and win in a tight game like that, fair play to you, deserve to win it. And as you rightly said, Captain Hasib Hamid led from the front, 1,258 runs. Ben Slater, yeah, as you rightly said, exactly 1,000 runs. Mohamed Abbas, absolutely amazing. He loves bowling in England, doesn't he? So 32 wickets from his 9 games. And Josh Tongue finally made his Notts debut, and he showed he was a class apart when he played, especially in that Surrey game. He even bowled, bowling against international class batters like Ollie Pope, his England teammate, and Dom Sibley, Ben Folkes. He was all over him. He only played 6 games, but he took 31 wickets, so absolutely unbelievable from him. Cole Verraine, was solid behind the stumps, got 500 runs exactly as well. And I completely agree with what you said about Lyndon James, Liam Patterson-White. They had fine seasons with the bat and the ball. So yeah, an all round effort from the Notts team. So yeah, I mean that shows how great the county championship is. You could be struggling for a season or two, then you could go and win it, and following that, you could win a title and then get relegated the next season. It's so volatile, and that's what makes it so exciting. So yeah, deserved win for Notts for this season. So I say we were way out with the predictions for Notts, both of us. So let's go to our obviously predictions game. So some we were really close on, like Somerset, and others like say Durham and Notts we were way out. So in total, so Kat, you ended up with 28 points, and it was so close between us, and so ended up with 28 as well. So not only was it close, it was exactly a tie. So we put joint winners
Oh no!
or joint runners up, however you
What,
want to
what
say.
what's the tiebreaker?
Oh,
What
well,
have you got to say?
I definitely want a tiebreaker with your Division Two predictions, Kat. So,
Oh, we don't need to mention that, do we? No.
so we got exactly the same. That's mental. So 28 points. To see if we can do better next season. So I say Div Two. We'll mention briefly. So both of us had Lancashire and Middlesex to get promoted, but they had absolute shockers this season, particularly Lancashire. Keaton Jennings resigns, and then is it Benkenstein, the coach? He was sacked, and Middlesex weren't much better. So the two big guns, didn't were in the middle of the Div Two table, and it was two unfancy teams really on the face of it. Leicestershire and Glamorgan were the ones who got promoted. So yeah, what were your thoughts, Kat, on obviously Lancashire and Middlesex? Really, obviously under par seasons by their expectations.
Yeah, I think Lancashire was probably more of a shock than Middlesex, I think,
Yeah,
to an
yeah,
extent. It's like, he's looking at Lancashire, it's like having Jimmy Anderson available, you know, for the season. And you know, it's like they just seem to implode. They're just, you know, there's like you having to change your captain and your coach. There's like for halfway through the season, it's like, there's something not quite right. So it was, yeah, it was just, yeah. I don't think anyone's really kind of put their finger on exactly what was happening behind the scenes. I think that they had like three different captains throughout the season in the Red Bull team. It was like Jimmy stood in for a bit, and then Marcus Harris took over as well. So, and I think he signed on for a couple of years. So I think once they got a bit of stability back, the performances seemed to improve a bit, but it was a little too late by then. Middlesex, I think they've been in a bit of a rebuilding phase. I think um, they've improved a little bit on last year. You mean they won a few games, but I think they probably lost a couple of games which they probably shouldn't have. So which ultimately cost them. So if they, so there was only 11 points off Glamorgan in second place. So it's just like, so they're not far away. They're building. Um, so it's like I think the Middlesex result is slightly less a shock, but just the sheer fact that it's Middlesex, they're a massive club.
of course,
The
yeah.
you know you'd expect them to be pushing up there. So yeah, you'd expect them to kind of have a season kind of rebuilding and licking their wounds during the winter and coming back next season, and you'd expect them to be challenging next time. So if we keep predicting them one time, we're bound to get them right. So yeah,
Yeah, I think we can predict what we're going to say is going to get promoted next year. It'll probably be the same two clubs, I think.
probably.
But yeah, I mean, as one of my dark horses, I had Leicestershire, but even so, I'm still surprised they got promoted. And not only get promoted, they actually won the Division Two title. So I think they're going to be playing Div One cricket for the first time in a long 20 years. I think the first time since they got
Yeah,
since the restructure, was it? Oh, it's been a while anyway. I
yeah,
think so. Yeah, really amazing effort from the Leicester team. Peter Anscombe, sorry, led from the front really well as always. Logan Van Beek, what a season he had, and yeah, plenty of wickets taken by obviously a few players. Ian Holland, 38 wickets. As I say, Van Beek, 34. Ben Green chipped in. And Rain Ahmed, what a season he had with the bat and the ball. I mean, with the bat, he got over seven. I think was it 760 runs. got 5 tons, got a few wicket over 20 wickets as well. Lewis Hill got over 900 runs. So yeah, I mean, after Sean Masood didn't even play that many games. I banked on Leicestershire being a dark horse. I think he did play county championship games. I think he played a few 50 over Metrobank games, and that was it. So didn't even need Sean Masood in the end. So yeah, even yeah, really impressive by Leicester. They've done well in obviously one day and T20 over the years, but red ball not so much. I think didn't they go for a year or two without winning the game or something crazy like that? Not long ago either.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
to not only get promoted but comfortably and as champions as well. That's a really unbelievable effort. But even so, I was still I know Adams was dark horse, but still to see them get promoted, I was still a bit surprised about. But yeah, really good effort. And your dark horse, Cat, sorry mate, Gloucester. They were nowhere near, eh?
I had a shocker with that one, unfortunately. Um, Yeah, it seems like there's been like a real exodus there. Some like real exciting young fast bowlers there, but they all seem to be kind of moving on to pastures new next year. I think um, Zaman Akhtar has signed for Essex, I believe. There's a couple of other guys who have moved on elsewhere, and so there's a real kind of exodus in their bowling stocks. So yeah, he looked at their squad and they're like a talented kind of youngish side. So it's yeah, just slightly surprising to see them kind of down there. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take my medicine on that one and say yeah, they had a bit of a shocker with that.
Well, no, if it's any consolation, mate, it doesn't go towards your prediction score, so don't worry about that. So, all right,
Thank
well there
God
we
for
are.
that.
Well, there we are. There's our review and predictions for the season. So, before you know it, mate, we'll be back to March, April, and be doing it all again for next season.
Oh yeah, before you know it, mate. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, thanks again, mate, and we'll catch you again soon. So thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Let us know your thoughts on the season down below. It'd be great to read those, and we'll see you soon. All the best. Take care.
Cheers, thanks all.